Actually, I was living in hell. 1 week after the 1993 World Series, after we just won our second consecutive World Series, you looked at me from the outside, you'd say, man, what a great life. But what people didn't know was what was going on the inside. Matter of fact, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I couldn't stand the guy looking back at me. Because the guy in the mirror was the killer of my little brother. Because 12 years prior to that very moment, my little brother was on his third battle of leukemia. They said that his only chance and opportunity for a long life was a bone marrow transplant. My blood matched his blood perfectly. I laid down my body. They injected 750 needles into my bones, abstracted the marrow, and then put the marrow inside my little brother's body. It appeared to work, but my marrow ultimately ended up putting my little brother into a coma. 2 days later, he moved on to heaven. 2:20 a.m., I stood over my little brother's bed after he'd taken his last breath. I watched him change colors. And I would tell you that that moment in time took our family to our knees. Traditional sadness, yes, was horrible. But as I stood over my little brother, I had not only the sadness, I had the guilt, the shame, and the anger. I was mad as hell at the world that my little brother was gone. And I was guilty as hell because I felt like it was because of me. Now my parents and the doctors did what all parents and doctors would do. They came to my rescue and they said, listen, Todd, you did everything you could do. You laid down your life and this is not your fault. There's a problem with that. I was 15. I had a mind of my own. I had thoughts of my own. There was a problem with that perception. I played and rewind that story over and over and over, and not just the thought, but the emotion. The anger, the guilt, the shame, and the sadness along with it. And as I had the thought and the emotion, what happened was that wiring process began to wire into my subconscious, and I began to change. I went from a laid-back kid to a monster. And I played and rewind this story for 12 years. And I woke up 1 week after that World Series, just sick and tired of being sick and tired of landing emotionally in the same place. And I reached out for help. And I reached out to a guy by the name of Harvey Dorfman. And Harvey was a baseball guru, mindset, psychology. And I didn't even realize Harvey knew who I was. But I guess I was so out of control with charging dugouts, bumping umpires, and fighting on the baseball field. He was ultimately waiting for me because he knew that those fights, those reactions, those responses were coming from somewhere else. That 2-hour meeting lasted 12 hours.